What we're going to go over is a brief description of or an introduction to the seismic window display in VISTA. It's a key part of VISTA for displaying data, first break picking, QCing, picking time gates, muting, data analysis. So we can see we've got the window open for the 2D land, the straight line, or the shot 20. We can get to the interactive window in a number of different windows, either through using the right mouse button, going through the seismic window display, or in the project list, just directly clicking on here. This is a standard plot, and this is defined for your project. Your project defaults as such are defined in here, and there's multiple ones that you can define, and then you set a default for your unstacked or stacked data plot. An example here is we've got various options for excursions, the types, the annotation, the types of plots for top and bottom annotation. So we've seen before all of the features for zooming, unzooming, panning in the data are all the same in the various VISTA windows. What we've got is top toolbar and a side toolbar, which is typical in VISTA. All of these different toolbars here are gone over in different movies related to killing, reverse polarity. Let's just look at the side toolbar right now. So here we can do our various plots, which we can define and apply to see what those look like. We'll display the dead traces. Let's turn those off. So this plot allows us to define all of the various ones. We can add notes in here to the data set. Color bar. One of the things that's key in VISTA 2 is hotkeys. So I've clicked on this to turn the color bar, but I can hit the C key. I can also do things like the Shift V key to turn on variable wiggle, D for variable density. I can do stuff like apply an AGC on the fly. That was an A. F for a filter. So there's various things I can do in there automatically, and these are described in the help as well as in the PDF file. Other things in here, so we've got our typical hourglasses for doing screen captures and printing. These sorting, this allows us, right now we're not in any sort order, but we can quickly shift to the shot sort or an ensemble, and then this scroll bar becomes effective in being able to go through the various ones, or we can take this particular window here, double click, and we can go to any of them in here. This is listing all the shot sorts there. We can go to receiver. We can actually create sorts. We can do a continuous sorts display. We can display in offset mode. Graphing is explained in a different movie, which just allows us to graph the traces. Here we can examine any header words we can see in here. So as I'm moving around, I can see those particular header words. Receiving and broadcasting, that's all defined in another movie. I would encourage you to have a look at that. That's quite a key component in QCing in VISTA. Some of the other things, LMO, we can come in here and pick our linear move out. We need to be in offset mode. So we'll click our linear move out. And now what we can do at this point is we can display, given that linear move out that we've picked, we can display our theoretical first break on that. That actually is defined by the linear move out that we've chosen and then the offset. That was the T key. We can hit the L key to give our linear move out on the data. Annotation, let's have a quick look at some of that. We're looking at the shot points, but we can do things such as, let's do that vertical, do that in 2 character every fifth. We can also add in, let's look at the bottom annotation is a graph. It's actually offset. So we'll call it offset. We can add QC function, something like displaying the linear move out on the data set. Let's just set our window for that size. So what we've got here, I'm just going to take the linear move out off, we've got the linear move out displayed up top and the actual data set at the bottom. So that's a way to QC through the data. If we just went through, we can see our function that way. Some other parts of that QC, so we could actually remove it here and place that on the bottom. I'll go through that again, but what I'm going to do differently this time is let's look at the frequency spectrum of that data. And again, I'll set the size to be that. So now what I've got is the frequency spectrum of that data applied. So it gives you lots of variations in the seismic plotting. Now, another key component in here is the right mouse button. Controls a lot of different options in here for picking the linear move out, graphing, our sort. So essentially this is a way to go through it. Scaled plotting, velocities, being able to actually put a velocity in the background of our data, syncing between various displays, so we could actually have another seismic window open. Let's just tile that. I'll get rid of the project. I could actually sync the plot parameters of that data set if I wanted to. Let's go back. Other abilities to open up the geometry seismic attribute directly from here. Theoretical first breaks, header shifting. We can view and apply statics on the fly in here. It's what's called a magnifier. Let me just pull this off to the side. What that's doing, there's many options in this as to what it can magnify because it can display different types of attributes in this window. We can question, let's go back into our shot, and then so one of the things with the project list, which we went over in the very beginning, was we can save this as a new type of plot parameter. We can also just display using the stack data plot. Actually, I'll go back to variable, and the things we can do. Zooming in, normal move out, any of those types work. We can sync between other windows as we've seen and broadcast between them. So an example would be that we could pull up an attribute display here, tile that. We can turn on that broadcast, and this is explained in some other movies. And as we're moving around in a particular data set, we can actually see that on the data set as we're moving. In a 3D, or in this case it's just a 2D sense. For applying these, what we've got is an AGC and an Ormsby. We could actually come in here and do that interactively on the fly. So we can apply that AGC. Let's see how that changes. Directly on the fly, we can apply our Ormsby and actually modify those directly. Reverse, apply exponential gain. There's a lot of things you can do interactively. Please check into the other movies related to the toolbars themselves and the graphing window.